And what's this whole idea of keyword stuffing? In this video, we're going to talk a little bit about keywords and content and sort of get you to see that a little salt is good for the soup and too much salt ruins the soup. Let's get started. First, let's talk about some basic principles of SEO. So I'm assuming that you know your keywords, you know a little keyword theory, you've identified your transactional keywords, and you're sort of struggling because you've read on the blogosphere or you've read something official from Google that says, oh my goodness, you shouldn't stuff your keywords. And it's sort of a threat, isn't it? Like if you do this, you'll never rank, right? Now, you're going to read a lot of stuff on the blogosphere, and some of these are completely erroneous, and some are kind of sort of true. So you'll read, for instance, that keywords don't matter for SEO, just right for humans. And the keywords don't matter part is completely erroneous. Just right for humans is too extreme. You'll see, don't stuff keywords. You can overdo it. It's too much, right? And then there are people such as myself who really kind of occupy this middle ground that keywords are important, and we're kind of making the point, SEO-friendly content, keywords are heavier than normal English, and you've got to put the keywords in the proper tag positions. So I use this analogy, a little salt is good for the soup and too much salt ruins the soup. But if you've ever tried to make soup without salt, it doesn't work. It doesn't turn out well. So the point being is you need to have some keywords in your content. That's the first thing. Now, related to this is you can taste the soup. You can see in reality what works and what you like and what's working for you. And you don't have to accept what experts say. And that's really important because we can go on to Google and we can see what's winning, and we can reverse engineer from that, and we can ignore the gobbledygook that we see on the blogs. So as I do this, I'm also going to use a little tool here. I've got a link in the materials here on YouTube for a testing of your keywords. So I've done some searches here, and I want to go and look at some of the winners, and then let's draw some conclusions about so-called keyword stuffing. All right, so in my books and in my classes, this is one of my favorite searches to use, is this search motorcycle insurance. And I've got my settings, of course, on Google turned off, so I'm just seeing non-personalized results. Okay, so we've done a search for motorcycle insurance, and let's look at our number one page. So it's the page from Progressive. You can look at the tag structure. This tag structure is great. Let's just do Control F and type in the word motorcycle. And let's look at all the content that's regurgitating the words motorcycle, motorcycle insurance quote, etc. And let's make some observations. First of all, it's winning. It's number one, right? So the idea that this page would be penalized is ridiculous because it's winning. So that tells you right there that something's up. Secondly, it's good English. It's subject, verb, object, and it is following some logical sentence structure, etc. It would kind of get a B plus or B minus in a high school English class. A little bit overdone, but it's working. All right, now let's take that page and let's pop it in this density checker, 4697. And let's look at that. Now, don't fall into the trap of just looking at raw density because it's more sentence structure and things like that. But this is going to tell us that for the word insurance, we have 3% density, and it'll even do two-word phrases down here. So for the word motorcycle insurance, it's 1.36%. Now, this is very rough. It's probably a little higher when you kind of pull out all the garbage. But the point is there's a density point maybe between 2% for a phrase, 4 or 5% for a single word that is at play. Now, you can also look at some of the other pages that win for this search, and you're going to see the same observations. There's a lot of density around the phrase, good subject, verb, object. All right, now let's look at some other ones. Let's look down here at CRM software. Now, every industry is not the same as every other industry, so you want to do your searches and sort of find what's normal for your industry. So for instance, if you ever drive down the freeway in California, right, don't be the fastest car on the freeway, driving 100 in a red sports car right past the police. You want to be the leader in the pack or close to the leader in the pack. You want to be, second or third car is a really good position in terms of safety from getting pulled over, right? But nobody drives the speed limit, right? Nobody drives the speed limit in California. I mean, maybe Granny does, but no one else does. So don't fall into the trap of just playing by the rules or you'll never get there. It won't work, right? That's just the way the world works. All right, so let's look at CRM software and let's look at some of the winners here. So let's look at number 2 here. Okay, now you can see right away that the tag structure is good. And let's look at this page. Okay, now you're going to find pages like this that don't have great sentence structure, but let's put in CRM. So now here is probably an H1, right? We could right click and look. And over here on the left, you can see the yellow, right? And you can see that the word CRM, is present on this page. This is sort of a list of software products. So, it's not the same structure as the one we just looked at, but it has quite a lot of density around the word CRM, right? So it's, this is part of the art of it, right? Go in, let's look, let's find somebody else. Try to find somebody who's not find a vendor or something, right? Let's see, here's Zoho. Let's look at Zoho, right? So they're a pretty strong vendor in this area. So again, the title tag, CRM software. Let's go Control F. Let's type in CRM. Now, and then here, now this is page 1 of a phrase, CRM software. There is a lot of money out there for this phrase. A lot of money. So guess what? Number 1, very competitive. Number 2, you don't think that Google pays attention to the searches that make it money? So if there were a penalty, the penalty would be applied in this area. Do you see what I'm saying? Because that's where Google's making money. And you can see here, there's a fair amount of density and the phrases are regurgitated. But again, we're seeing good subject, verb, object. Now, it's not as overdone as motorcycle insurance, but it's not underdone. There is the word CRM. There is the word CRM software out here, right? So that's another example. All right, now let's look at another example. So to be ironic, right, I thought let's do a Google search for keyword stuffing, right? And I want to show you, I'm going to ignore some of the really big ones, and I want to show you this is just funny to me. Right? I want to show you the dangers of SEO keyword stuffing, right? And look down here for keyword stuffing. Where is it here? Understanding the dangers of keyword stuffing, right? So see this one right here. Now let's look at this number 4 or 5 for this search. And you just have to love the ironies of the blogosphere, right? So this page is telling you should be careful about keyword stuffing. And it's ranking about number 4 or 5 for the phrase keyword stuffing on Google. So let's go Control F as in Frank, and let's put in the word keyword stuffing. And you'll notice that the page that is warning you about keyword stuffing is engaging in keyword stuffing. So I just love this example because this is what I'm always telling people in my classes, right? Don't believe everything you read on the blogosphere. Because this is an example of complete and utter hypocrisy, right? Keyword stuffing doesn't matter. Let me explain by writing a post about keyword stuffing that keyword stuffs, and I'm going to rank on Google. So, it's kind of a humorous way of looking at it. All right, so now let's sort of draw some conclusions. Okay, so first of all, we've done some experiments, and you'll see that there's some range of density, and this is the art. You don't want to overdo this, but you don't want to underdo it. First and foremost, tag structure is more important than sort of the keyword content. I think that's really a good conclusion. You got to get the keyword into your title tag. You got to have a header, an image, something like that. You got to do some tag structure vis-a-vis your keywords, right? Secondly, the pages that are winning are heavier than normal English. Right? So they're heavier than normal English, but they're not so over the top that they're grotesque and horrible. Third, if you look at Panda and Google and sort of realize, right, you can't just put junky content out here. You have to use normal structure. You have to write good grammar, but it's normal. It's heavier than normal English, but you could get penalized if you really went overboard. Fourth, do your searches and look at what's winning in your industry, and I guarantee you will find out that it's going to be heavier than normal English, right? So I would pay more attention to what I see, what they're doing versus what they're saying, right? And then in conclusion, sort of beware of the false dichotomy, right? The false dichotomy, a choice, either or that's not a real true either or, right? It's not you write for Google or you write for humans. You can write for both. You can write for both. So that's the art of it. So I'm sort of a middle of the road person. I'm going to write content that's heavier than normal English. I'm not going to overdo it. I'm going to look at my rank and see that I'm performing, and I'm not going to underdo it. And one of the most wonderful, takeaways here about SEO is you don't have to believe everything you read. Do searches, look at what's winning, and that's going to give you a sense of the reality that's out there. So thank you so much for this question. It's really interesting and important question that comes up frequently about keyword stuffing. And I really, this is just something that a lot of people struggle with. And there's a lot of interesting angles in it. The art of SEO is to do experiments, see what actually works, take everything with a grain of salt, and write content that's good for humans and good for Google. So thank you for watching. Subscribe to the channel, all that fun stuff. And if you have any additional questions, put them in the YouTube comments.